Okay, so now we get into prosperity of the 1920s, right? Prosperity is going to mean like being successful, you're going to have new innovations, people are getting richer, so on and so forth. So first you have the rise of the automobile, right? In 1929, 1 out of every 9 workers were in the auto-related industry. 1 out of 9. People were now able to go on vacations, right? Because now you had the wheels to do that and the means to do it as well. Now you have the growth of the suburbs. You didn't have to live in the cities. Now you can drive to work every day. So of course you're going to have the creation of more highways, and now the suburbs, which are small cities outside of the cities, like small neighborhoods outside of the cities. Okay. Now Henry Ford. There is a misconception about Henry Ford. People believe that he created or invented the car, which that is not correct, right? He was an engineer and an early automobile manufacturer, right? That's him right there, of course, with his Model T. The Model T was the first car that the middle class could buy, so it wasn't just for the rich, it was for the middle class as well. And he made a product his employees could buy. Now, what he was able to do is he created a successful way of the assembly line, right? He created the assembly line, which is moving cars along a conveyor belt while workers completed a assigned task. Before, one person would work or 2 people would work on an entire car, which means that you had to specialize in the entire car. Now with the assembly line, you were able to specialize in one thing. For example, let's say 2 people worked on the frame and then you moved it along. So you specialized in one area of the vehicle instead of having to specialize in the entire vehicle. So it was able to produce cars faster. Now the faster you can produce them, the more money you make with the less time that you spend or less money you spend for your workers. So that proved to be a success. He was actually laughed at by a lot of his competitors because he was pricing his cars so low. And he says, well, the thing is that I'm going to make a product that my employees can buy. So even though I'm paying my employees, that money is going to come right back to me because they're buying my product. Okay, if that made sense. And of course he was extremely successful because we still have Ford today. Now Glenn Curtis designed the flying boat, right? And you can see that there. The age of mass consumption, right? People were, like I've told you before, living the good life. And because they were living the good life, they were able to spend more money and they were able to, just purchase a lot more things. A lot will have to do with advertisements, right? Advertisements were extremely important as to what these people would spend their money on. Now, buying on credit is one of the biggest factors of this. Buying on credit is buy now, pay later, or installment plans, where you buy something now, kind of like a credit card, and then you pay it later. And that would be installment plans. So just like we saw in the video, you were able to see how new technologies were created, like the washing machine and the vacuum. So how can you afford something like that? Well, you would buy it on credit. And let's say you can't afford the payment, what you do is you would sell your washing machine, get that money, and then buy a new one. Okay? Now speculation, this is going to lead to the downfall of the 1920s. Speculation is the purchase of any item not for personal use but in hopes of selling it later at a higher price, kind of like to make a profit. But how would you get that money? In the first place, you would borrow it. Okay? Now stocks. As people bought more stocks, prices went higher. Okay? And you're going to have uneven prosperity. The top 0.1% had a combined income equal to that of the bottom 42%. So you're going to have the rich get extremely richer and then the poor get poorer. Farmers face lower incomes. Railroads face competition from cars. And minorities were discriminated against. Okay. Now this is prosperity. If you have any questions, you let me know.